Hey everybody, this is Waytofail, back with more action from the Scrolls King of the Beta tournament, where we're in Game 2 of a best-of-3 series between Antirad and Raytional, where if you missed the last game, Antirad got off to kind of the start he wanted until Bombard happened, and he just could not catch up with his order deck. So as we're looking at the decks they're playing in Game 2 here, Raytional gets to keep his mono energy range deck, and Antirad is actually going with a growth deck, which surprises me a little bit because, to be honest with you, this is a very, very fast growth deck. It wants to kind of get the game going early, but it doesn't rely on any kind of god hand finisher or anything. So instead it's very much an enchant-based growth deck, and I mean, this is going to run into a lot of problems if Raytional can get his direct damage off early, if he can get any kind of his range units of Bombard out fast, because as good as some of these enchants are, the problem with enchants is they oftentimes don't affect game or affect anything until the turn after. So Antirad's going to have to hope that he can keep his units out to actually have the enchants work, because right now this deck does have some value in it with the Kinfolk Veteran, with the Striped Fangbear, which is definitely going to do some work. And Rumble can ruin any energy player's day, even mono energy ranged. But I don't know. This is probably not the deck I would have chosen from the list. But let's go ahead and see if Antirad can prove me wrong. And so begins Game 2 with Raytional on the left and Antirad on the right here. Don't be confused by their hats. And what we have here, once again, Raytional is going to be allowed to keep playing his mono energy range deck. So Antirad is going to have to really hope that he can push through with his growth deck. But Dust Runners love eating the Kinfolk. It even says right here in their description. So very good opening for Raytional. He doesn't know what Antirad's playing just yet, but this is a great opener against growth. So there's Antirad going for a new start here, and that Kinfolk Brave can be in trouble. Vilda the Verdant can be good, but is susceptible to a lot of things that Raytional can play here. So let's see here. Turn 2, is it going to be a Kinfolk, and is he going to actually try and challenge this Dust Runner? No, ditches plays the Kinfolk, and that's the replay mod. Once again playing tricks on me. Take the wool off my eyes very briefly, but Raytional coming back here. Once again, the Dust Runner not going to be able to hit this Kinfolk Brave, but he can move it down and pin it. He has the units. Try and play this, or he could actually Spark as well. But no, okay, so he decides to not Spark. He decides to play the Cannon, which is interesting. He's going to eat 2 idle damage, but I don't think Raytional necessarily cares about idle damage at this point in the game. So there's Vilda the Verdant, and so is he moving up? It looks like yes, he is moving up his Kinfolk Brave to try and challenge this, and that could spell some trouble here because Raytional does have an answer for the Kinfolk Brave. There's the Spark, goodbye, and he can potentially burn Vilda the next turn, except she has Ward, so he definitely cannot do that. So Antirad, what does he have an answer right here? Earthborn Mystic. And essentially, it looks like he's just kind of sacrificing Vilda, saying, okay, you're going to get eaten here, and Vader of the Wild, just to try and ramp some resources. You want to try and get that out earlier if you can, but you can't play anything at this point, and there is a very painful burn as well. And why would Raytional burn the Vader of the Wild when there's some other better possible burn targets, as such as maybe Earthborn Mystic? Once again, cannot burn Vilda because of Ward. But one of the most important things, or one of the painful things for Antirad, is that he was hoping to possibly play his Kinfolk Veteran next turn, and now he's going to be down 1 resource and is going to have to sacrifice something. So I got to hope for the best here. So just boom and goodbye. Once again, Dust Runner, if you have 3 health or less, you die. So they love eating Kinfolk here. So still the Veteran. Unfortunately, going to be a bit down on resources. Another Vader of the Wild, so decent draw, but Rallying and Kinfolk Veteran not going to be the comeback card you want them to be when the Potion of Resistance comes out, as Energy always likes to have a Potion of Resistance on turn 5 to save your 3 health units from the potential growth 5 play of a Kinfolk Veteran. You always assume your growth player has that, because they always do, unless you're playing growth yourself. So, Raytional ahead right away, and he's trying to draw an enchantment here, and this is what I was saying before. This is very much an enchant-heavy deck, but right now he's sitting on 5 resources. It's going to be very difficult for him to, say, play the Kinfolk Veteran and trying to get an enchant down to really make it work at this point. So there's the Kinfolk Veteran anyway. Going to take out the Dust Runner. As much as you want to take out one of the Cannonettas, there's no point, not with the Potion of Resistance. So essentially he's leaving his Vader of the Wild to die, which it doesn't really matter too much how he moves him. In fact, it's probably better that he keeps him up here because piercing rounds will hit this and kill the Vader regardless. So Antirad, does he have a potential answer? He has a Rumble, and Rumble can make good things happen, but right now his deck is focused on smaller creatures, such as the Gravehawk, which will have Relentless, but it only starts with one attack. It needs to be enchanted. Wetland Ranger, which can be good if it pillages. The problem with a lot of these smaller growth creatures is that they don't affect the board right away unless they have haste. And right now, Antirad is already behind. As much as it may look like he has some creatures on the board and a few more cards here. Raytional definitely in control of everything that's going on in this game. And right now, Antirad does not have an answer for this Tom to Forge except for Rumble. And is RNG going to be on Antirad's side here? This does look like a Rumble turn. And it is a Rumble turn. Rumble, 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 Rumble. Move everything around. And there is one exposed Cannonetta. Antirad squeals with glee. That's the first thing that's gone their way this game. Well, maybe, but the important thing, too, is that the Wetland Ranger is going to be able to actually get that pillage bonus. And this happy Kinfolk Brave is going to be able to do 1 extra damage next turn. So there's your attack buff. And there's a Violent Dispersal as well on the Ranger, because that is a snowball card if I've ever seen one. And Antirad already fearing the Bombard, as both these players kind of chatty with each other just a little bit, but 2 Stag Hearts, decent draw. You kind of want to see Antirad go for a few more resources here, but it's pretty clear from looking at his deck type that he did make a low resource deck with a lot of small plays, and damn it, he is trying to stick to it. So double Stag Heart's solid, but you would hope that the Kinfolk Veteran would actually be able to be up here and hit this unit too, because with 1 Bombard, things can get very ugly. But it looks like he's just going to gun Automaton here, and this is probably, yeah, there's the Bombard. For the Kinfolk Brave, as it gets shot all to pieces. And that's 1 Stag Heart down. Don't forget, that was 2 cards, 2 scrolls, on that Kinfolk Brave and the enchantment. And because there's not a Stag Heart in here, this Kinfolk Veteran, not as much of a threat. So, Raytional, does he Rumble here? Does he just play another unit right now? Ragged Wolf is good. Earthen Mirth is one of the few cards that is going to affect something right away, and there it goes. So 5 attack. And he does actually take out 2 units, so look at this. Round 11. Growth 2 creatures, a few cards in his hand. Energy, 2 creatures, a few cards in his hand. It looks even right now, but does Raytional have an answer sacrificing for skulls? That's a good spark. That spark really, oh man. Once again, that's 1 card for 2 with the Enchanted Wolf here, and that Wolf isn't going to be able to do too much else. Antirad not getting his rallies. Even if he does get his rallies, he doesn't have the resources to use it right now because he's so far behind. He's continuing to have to sacrifice to attack here. So there is the Fang Bear. When all else fails, call your Fang Bear. And not playing the Ragged Wolf either, which is interesting to me if I could just click off of this. So Raytional with, oh, he's pulling the Violent Dispersal. No, not the Fang Bear. It's not very nice. So Antirad going on a clear board. That spark just hurts so much here. This is not what you want to see. Antirad's tournament life now on life support. He's going to have to do something. He's going to have to get cards, and he's going to have to get resources and really hope that he can speed this up. Although it looks like he's really wanting to stay on 5 or get his deck up to the point where he has enough weapons and tools in his hand to make something work. So Raytional, on the other hand, just dumping his hand, dumping creatures. He's far enough ahead to where there's not too many threats that Antirad can play right now. So there's a Rat King. 1, 2, and 3. Unfortunately, from the replay, it doesn't indicate to me where the scroll started here, but Antirad splitting his scrolls up in case of a Thunder Surge from the look of it. And Better of the Wild on the bottom. So there is finally from 5 resources to 7 resources. Oh, but a well-timed burn by Raytional on the other hand. So right now there's a lot of little things, which I guess is what Growth really wants to do here. And Antirad does have a Crimson Bull in his hand, but on the other hand, Raytional here is going to be able to clean up some of these rats too. In fact, he can spark the Vader if he wants to. He still does have the resources for it. But he's going to Desperation instead. Desperation, very nice because it's only 1 damage, which is all you need to do, and he saves the spark. So Antirad looking like he had an answer, but this is where Raytional is just so far ahead at this point. He has another Earthborn Mystic, Ragged Wolf, Crimson Bull. What else do you do at this point other than just hope? Earthen Mirth once again. At least we'll get this poor Gravelock Elder chomped to pieces. Although I find it interesting that Antirad is not going to try and protect this wolf. And I mean, I don't know if that's quite a throw or anything, because this guy doesn't have piercing. He doesn't necessarily know Raytional has a spark or anything like that, but he could have moved the rat down to at least give the wolf a fighting chance, but now that wolf is going to be put down. Always love the Dust Runners. Like, I have my rifle. I only need one hand. I'm a lefty. You can do it. So Antirad now asking, what do you have trouble with as mono energy range? And that's a really good question. I think that's what everyone wants to know. And this is where I have to remind the audience, okay, this is a game that may still be in beta, and this is a replay mod, and you can see that it says Antirad cast burn. He did not cast burn. The person who supplied me the replay for this actually mentioned that he did have a connection error during this part. So you're going to see this unit here kind of hitting things off to the side. It's not really... You may be a little bit confused about some of the things that happen, but I'll try and talk it through, because somebody definitely did not play Oculus Cannon named Antirad here. But the Oculus Cannon looking very good for Raytional. But unfortunately, like I said, this game very much in Raytional's favor right now, but because of bugs and because of just a few other things here, it's going to be a little confusing about what's going on here right now. One Kinfolk veteran to at least try and take down one unit here. So 1 for 1, sometimes 1 for 2. Kinfolk veteran, much stronger way back in the day when it was a 3-4. Now just more of a shock troop. And you can see units stacking on top of other units. Visual bugs, nothing to see here, don't mind that. Raytional just dumping his hand at this point. He's going to have a pretty hefty bombard next turn. And I mean, what can you do at this point if you're Antirad? His deck, if you notice, does not have Quake, does not have God Hand, does not have a lot of the combat cards that you usually see in Growth. Instead, with his deck, what you get is a lot of enchants, which requires you to have a stable board. And if there's one thing Energy is really good at, it is screwing up the stability of your board. With Bombard, with Thunder Surge, and since Raytional's playing with it. Since direct damage and anything else. So there's the Champion Ring. But once again, Champion Ring is not going to necessarily have an effect this turn, and Raytional's going to have a turn to try and clean sweep here. And can he actually do it? He does have the extra resources for a Bombard, and there we go. Once again, you're going to see a little bit of confusion here in the middle of the board from some visual bugs. Nothing I can do about that, so I apologize. That screws up, but more importantly, we have first idol down. And Antirad in trouble. Like I said, I'm not sure he quite has the cards for a comeback here. Alright. So there's a Wetland Ranger, and it is just Raytional really has packed the board tight at this point. Antirad not having a lot of resources, not having a lot of answers. This is just not the deck to take on mono energy range. Not really a deck to take on energy too well regardless, unless you can get the enchants out. But hey, good job. That Kinfolk Brave did eat 6 resources in a Thunder Surge, so that's how dangerous that card can be. But once again, no good Stag Hearts targets, no great Earthen Testament target, because once again, Earthen Testament requires that you have enchanted creatures, and Antirad can't even keep his enchants on his creatures to save his life because Raytional keeps plowing him down. And we're at turn 19 is Growth, and he's still on 6 resources. This deck was, I assume it's more designed to take things out early. As you can see, once again, Visual Bug going through the Hired Smuggler. Nothing I can do about that. I'm sorry, guys. But yeah, at this point, is there really anything that you can do at all? Actually, I don't think there's too much here. Just one Bombard, another Automata Forge. It's not really spiking the football at this point, but I'm not sure if there's any method in Antirad's deck for any kind of comeback. Wow! That Storm Runner just attacked that idol. Didn't do a great job, but bugs are funny. I mean, that's what we say about this game at this point. Raytional's in clear control. Antirad does not have the cards that he needs here. He can enchant the crap out of his units with a Crimson Bull, with a Champion Ring, and that can do some work. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. So he can clear some creatures, but that's the other downside if you're looking from a card perspective here, is how many cards did that take to just take out 2 creatures here? You needed the Ragged Wolf, you needed the Crimson Bull, you needed the other enchantment as well, and you need your Kinfolk Brave on the board. So that is a lot to have to try and dump and push just for Raytional to be already ahead. As growth, you want more stuff on the board than this, and energy, at least this deck is doing a great job of slapping Antirad back, and there's Bombard, and that is definitely going to be game unless visual bugs are lying to me. We'll see if that Stormrunner can hit the... yes, it hits the idol again, and Raytional is moving on to the next round where he can play... And let me double check this list here, but he can play against the winner of the other part of the bracket here. So either PewQ or Magpie Man will have the honor of playing Raytional and his super buffed Stormrunners, but otherwise I apologize for the bugs at the end of that one. But 2 out of 3 isn't terrible for a series, but Antirad unfortunately gets rolled by Raytional. Does this mean it's time to nerf mono energy ranged? A lot of people will probably say yes. But at least for this one, Raytional takes it just with good draws, good play, and Antirad just did not have the answers. So that's it for now. This is Waytofail with one series from the Scrolls King of the Beta Tournament. You're welcome to check out my channel if you want to. Info's in the description. But otherwise, keep watching Scrolls tournaments on YouTube, and we look forward to bringing you more in the days to come. Take care.